Welcome to
Hi, Carol. Hi, Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Hey,
Hi,
Carol.
Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Hi, Carol.
Hi,
Carol.
Carol, a Pluribus podcast about Apple TV Plus's show, Pluribus. My name is Catfish, and with me, as always, is someone who's also had a lot of women say meh about his performance. It's Bubba.
Catfish, in honor of this week's episode, we're going to have the first 10 minutes of this podcast without any talking.
Perfect.
Oh, whoops. Oh, no.
Oh, I blew it already. Sorry, Bubba. This is our episode on episode 4 entitled Please, Carol. Carol tests the boundaries of this weirdly honest world to the expense of her ego. Far away, a resolute individual learns he's not alone. We are going to have the usual games plus, Bubba, tonight. A dramatic reading from an excerpt of The Winds of Wycaro.
Hell yeah. Catfish, this is exciting. We have had kind of a roller coaster with all the great feedback we've been getting, and we've got a lot more feedback for this last week. But let's get to it. Episode 4, what's your rating?
Hi, Carol.
All right,
Hi,
Bubba,
Carol.
I am
Hi,
going to
Carol.
give this 8 out of 10 triple S's.
Triple S's.
As we all know, triple S's stands for Super Slow Show.
Hey, Carol. Whoa.
That is what we have. I complained last week saying we learned so little new that you could just skip last week's episode and move on to this one. It's controversial in the comments, as we'll find out. Now, what happened new this week? It can be undone.
Hooray.
That is a big thing, but we were very leisurely about the show. Now, to be honest, we also learned that Carol's wife respected Carol's writing even less than Carol respects it, so that's new information.
Yeah.
We also got a real long, quiet scene with the guy from, is it Paraguay, Bubba? Did I get that right? I can't remember where they said she's from. It was in the other episode. But the point is, I'm just going to have to accept that this is going to be a slow show and judge it on those merits. Now,
You went out
bonuses.
8 out of 10, Catfish.
We had a great scene with Jeff Hiller from Somebody Somewhere that was not only very beautiful, but also very awkward. So that was a great scene. That was the example of the kind of slow scene that I enjoy rather than 10 minutes of a guy checking one radio station after another and tipping over food that people brought them. So, Bubba, I'm just going to have to readjust. But we always say, who cares what we think? So let's just skip over your review of this. Oh, no, you want to still do it? Okay, well, go ahead and do it.
Well, it's going to be very similar to yours, Catfish, but I'm going to actually give it a lower grade of 7 triple D's out of 10.
Oh, yeah, the triple. Wait, what? Triple D's?
Delicious dog food dinner. Heck yeah, let's go. If I was just grading the Carol section of episode 4, I might go 8 out of 10. I might go 9 out of 10. There was a lot of good things in there. Good to see Carol active, trying to learn what she's up against. Hell, break out the whiteboards. Let's get a PowerPoint going. Let's get some slides. Hell yeah. But boy, oh boy, Catfish, I'm going to lose my television talker cred by saying that Vince Gilligan, who created what I think is the best overall show ever made, Breaking Bad, in those later seasons, he would get really into process. But because we loved those characters, Walt and Jesse and all the rest, we could watch them kind of do things and not know exactly what was happening, but still be fascinated and still be ready for what was going to happen.
Well, plus on that show, the stakes were always very high.
Yes. And then on Better Call Saul, I think is where the trouble started. Vince Gilligan thought he could do the exact same. Now, I know there are listeners out there, hell, go down in the comments and tell me that I'm wrong, but there are a handful of people who believe Better Call Saul is the better show, and they love Better Call Saul. For me, Better Call Saul had some great highs, but it had a lot of just this slow, really kind of laborious work of let's show this, let's show that. And on this, with a character we don't know. We can only make guesses about what they're doing. This went on 10 minutes, maybe longer than 10 minutes. I couldn't keep, I kept bringing up the timer to say, good grief, how long is this gone? Catfish, it didn't work for me. Listeners, again, I want to know if it worked for you. This beginning section, go down in the comments and let us know. I'm guessing that what he was doing, one of the things he was doing, is actually pretty smart. He's thinking they're a hive mind. How do they communicate? Let's check out the radio waves. That's me guessing. But even me guessing, you could have gotten through, given me the exact same information in less than half the time.
Now,
and
funny,
I think
Bubba,
more visually interesting than it was. Oh,
absolutely. Now, I thought what he was doing was going through the channels to see if anybody was broadcasting, thinking there are other people out there. He doesn't trust the hive mind at all, so he's seeing if other people is broadcasting. Nonetheless, we get it. We understand what's happening in this world.
But let's say the Carol stuff is so good. You're right. We're going to celebrate the great stuff in that episode. The scene where Carol is talking to the joined, the hive mind, the we is us, and saying, what did Helen think of my book? Incredible.
Yeah.
Her creating her own truth serum. Incredible. But boy, oh boy, that first 10 minutes, I couldn't forgive my grade. I went 7 out of 10 because I thought the final 25 minutes were great. I thought those first 10 minutes, they weren't for me. Listeners, who care what we think? Go down in the comments and tell us if you feel like we did, if you feel differently than we did, if you loved maybe the first 10 minutes and then hated the rest of the episodes. We love your opinion. And if you're on social media and not on YouTube, hey, do us a favor. Reach out to us at PHQ on Instagram, Threads, Blue Sky, Facebook, Twitter. We want to hear from you. Subscribe. There are some people, you don't care, listeners, but I think because we were debating the topic of, hey, is Carol the worst? Actually, neither of us had really felt that through the first 3 episodes. I think we had a handful of people unsubscribe because they were upset. How dare these jerks attack Carol? No, we're just debating it. We're just talking. We're your friends talking about this very intriguing show with you. So please
look, I have been pro Carol.
Yeah.
In fact, and our listeners have been less pro Carol. Our commenters have been less pro Carol than I have.
Oh, we have some great pro Carol comments this week, Catfish.
Thank you. I appreciate that. As well as we got some comments from Spotify, which I begged for last week. So thank you to our listeners who commented on Spotify. You make me feel like I'm heard. Thank you.
Yeah. We always begin the Hi, Carol podcast by talking about the one big question. What's the big question that this particular episode is making all the Pluribus fans talk about this week? And I honestly think that a big question going through the hive mind this week, the hive mind of Pluribus fans this week,
right?
That is Carol wrong to be doing the things she's doing to the hive mind? Is she wrong to be doing the things she's doing? To be manipulating them, to be drugging them? So this is the debate. Catfish, do you have an opinion or do you want me to jump in on this topic?
I'm still going to defend Carol as I have been defending her all along. I think a lot of people abuse the stand your ground law, but Carol has the most righteous reason for standing her ground.
Standing your ground, Catfish, I'm going to cut you off immediately. I apologize. This is our debate section.
No, let's do it.
I have not studied every stand your ground law, but I'm pretty sure stand your ground law doesn't mean you can drug somebody without their consent.
Well, it's basically a stand your ground law is if someone comes to you into your house, aka your planet, and attacks you, aka subsumes the entirety of your species, and then says they're trying to get you too, that you can do whatever you can to try to reverse that. Now remember, she doesn't do that until she finds out that it is possible to do that. Before that, she was very upset with herself for killing all these people, although my thoughts before this was that they weren't people anymore, that they couldn't be changed back. But but I left it open because I think it has to be open, that
Sure.
there has to be hope that things can change. She is being attacked, and so she has the right to defend herself. I've said it before, I'll say it again. If I
Sure.
was Carol, I would drive around looking for people in the hive mind to yell at them to get rid of as many of these
They,
people
they are
to many.
still, you need to finish your point, then I'm
Okay,
debating.
you're right. We didn't know till tonight that until this episode that they actually could be brought back. But
Yes.
Bubba, you got to break a few eggs. She can either save, she can
Yeah.
either save the most of humanity.
Yeah.
One way to try to do it is say, I'm gonna knock out like 10 million people and drive you crazy until you leave,
Mm-hmm.
right? And in that
Sure.
case, it is sort of the end justifies the means. But now
Okay.
she's going by it. She's trying to find out in the most peaceful way. Again, she's using the carrot where I would be using the stick.
Let's just look at this one member of the hive mind.
Let's do it.
It's life since meeting Carol. It's been blown up. It's been drugged, had a cardiac arrest. This is a human being that could be turned back into a human being. She drugged a human being when she
It
knew,
can,
hey, I can turn this person back, and she's given them a cardiac arrest. This
Bubba, she
she
can
did she
only.
made all those human beings cry. When the title of this episode is Please Carol, they were crying, Catfish. Do you, in your stand your ground law, have the ability to make somebody cry on purpose? And let me say,
Bubba,
Catfish,
I
you've
can.
made me cry so many times. I'm like, okay, that podcast isn't going to have 500 downvotes, but this is worse than what you've done.
You are intentionally exposing the own fallacy that you're believing when you continue to call these things human beings. They are not human beings right now. They are being puppeted by a hive mind. Until they
Mm,
can have their own
mm.
agency, they are no longer human beings. So she's trying to do what she can to turn them back. She's not trying to wipe them out. She didn't like hold her down and try to like
Oh my goodness
torture the
gracious.
information
Hey,
out of
you know
her.
what? I just fired the gun randomly in a direction. It's not my fault that person was standing there. She caused this human being who, yes, is in a bad mental state right now, but she caused this human being to have a cardiac damn arrest by drugging them without consent.
She's not a human being right now, Bubba.
That she is well, wait, right now. So you're saying that you're only a human being if you're of your right mind.
If
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
yes,
What
yes, you're only a human being is if you have
if
agency to
you're in a
do what you
coma?
want.
If you're in a coma, are you not a human being?
You're not being puppeted by someone
But
else. This
okay,
is an
so you're saying that
alien.
I can go into the hospital and drug somebody who's in a coma because they're not conscious. They're not.
No, no, I'm saying you can do something if people have been taken over by someone else. If someone has
Yeah.
been taken over by an alien hive mind and you
Well,
think you
I'm
can
glad
save
you're
a bunch of
saying
people,
if if someone has. So even you aren't sure.
all right, well, you know what? What I like about that is we're both very passionate, even though I'm
Yes.
right and
I
you're wrong.
know. I'm going to stand my ground against your terrible argument. Boy,
All right,
I
Bubba.
put this
Yeah.
one big question at the beginning because I thought, we always get so silly. We got to put something serious at the beginning, and you just ruined it with your terrible argument.
Hi, Carol. Hi, Carol.
Well,
Hi,
Bubba,
Carol.
Yeah.
Hi, Carol.
we're going to make things serious again
Finally,
because,
here we go.
as people probably know,
Yeah.
Apple has released an excerpt from the book Winds of Wycaro.
Mm.
But double L's, Bubba.
Double L's,
Loyal listeners, it may not even be double L's. It might have to be triple L's.
triple L's.
Longtime loyal listeners know
Oh,
that we in Double P have always managed to get excised or edited out portions of the books and shows that we've covered, and we've been able to dramatically reenact that here. And once again, we've done it, Bubba, we have got an excerpt from the Winds of Wycaro, but some of it was cut out that we managed to get our hands
Oh,
on.
thank goodness. So this is going to be a dramatic reading
Hmm.
from this exercised piece of the excerpt of
Yes.
this Winds of the
Hmm.
Wycaro
Hmm.
novel
Hmm.
by
Hmm.
Carol. I love it. Love it.
This is the unexpurgated edition.
Great. This will be better. This will be much better than the one Helen hated.
Absolutely. Which was basically all of it.
Yeah, that's true.
Both are serious and non-serious writing.
Ouch.
All
Yeah.
right, here we go.
Okay.
Hi, Carol.
As Lucasia composed herself, a glimmer caught her eye. In the back of the cabinet, hidden behind the fernway powder and burnham leaves, was a glass jar, half full of a deep blue ointment.
Ooh.
She tenderly unscrewed the top. The thick, fruity scent of macerated berries wafted through the air. The aroma immediately brought her back. The day after the terrible battle of Nepenthe, she woke in a haze to Raban undressing the bandage on her shoulder. "What are you doing?" From his pocket he withdrew a small jar, presenting its cobalt-colored contents. "This machete is salve from the Waldenove berry. It will soothe your wounds." Raban rubbed the salve between his rough hands, warming it. The sweet, jammy smell drifted languidly around the cabin, calming Lucasia with memories of childhood before her life had become so unwieldy, so raw. He placed his slippery hands on her shoulder. "Hell's alarum! It stings!" she exclaimed. "For things to heal, they must first hurt, ma chérie." Suddenly, a red-haired young woman staggered unsteadily into the room.
Nothing hurts if you drink enough wine, especially if you top it off with a little poppy of the milk.
"Sansa!" Raban exclaimed. "I thought I told you to stay in the cabin."
We can all go in there.
Sansa said as she lustily eyed both of them.
Or maybe just me and Lucretia.
Whoa.
Whoa.
Whoa, Bubba.
Now
You know,
that's hot.
you can see why that was excised because Carol was sort of giving some stuff away there. So that's the that's the unexpurgated edition. Hopefully, our fans enjoyed it.
Adult content in book form. I love it.
Hi,
Yeah,
Carol. Hi, Carol.
absolutely, absolutely.
Hi, Carol.
Bubba,
Hi, Carol.
Yeah.
here
Hi,
we
Carol.
go.
Oh,
Segment two. Which Twilight episode are we in? Since the original Twilight Zone focused a lot on aliens, alien scares, and
Yeah.
really how aliens illuminate our humanity and also just our humanity. Every week, we're going to pick an old Twilight Zone episode that we think most parallels this episode. And Bubba, we got a comment on this. I love it from Wild Marjoram Diesel Punk said, with the first Twilight Zone reference, "I just feel the writers have never been desperately poor. Man, I would be happy getting anything I get, even if I win every time. I do like this section a lot." Bubba, and she was talking about the Twilight episode you were referencing
Yeah.
last week, where it turns out the man is in hell. Bubba, I'm going to start this week first with me.
Please.
I am picking Obsolete Man, Season 2, Episode 29. This is starring the MVP of the OG Twilight Zone, Burgess Meredith, who also starred in Mr. Dingle the Strong, Printer's Devil, and the cruelest Twilight Zone of all, Time Enough at Last. 4 episodes he starred in, and in Obsolete Man, in a totalitarian future state, librarian Romney Wordsworth, Burgess Meredith, is declared obsolete because
Ouch.
books and religion are banned. The Chancellor sentences him to death, but allows Wordsworth to choose both the method and the setting. Wordsworth invites the Chancellor to his room for his execution, revealing the room has been rigged to explode and locking them both inside. As the bomb counts down, the Chancellor panics and begs for mercy. Wordsworth refrees him, but the Chancellor is later declared obsolete himself and killed by the state. Now, there are 2 things here that remind me of this episode. In one part of this episode, a group of people chant repeatedly, "Obsolete Man, obsolete man, reminding me of the people chanting at Carol, the creepy please Carol.
Hmm.
Also of note is the closing narration, where Rod Serling says, the Chancellor, the late Chancellor, was only partly correct. He was obsolete, but so is the state, the entity he worshipped. Any state, any entity, any ideology that fails to recognize the worth, the dignity, the rights of man.
Hmm.
That state is obsolete, a case to be filed under M for mankind.
Man, that's
Mhm.
hardcore, Catfish. So, what did it have to do with this episode? None.
Hi, Carol. Hi, Carol. Hi, Carol. Hi, Carol. Hi,
I
Carol.
am
Hi,
kidding.
Carol.
I am kidding. I am going to go for this week's episode. It's one that, to be honest, a bunch of mine could apply to every episode. But I'm going to the original Twilight season 3, episode 14, Five Characters in Search of an Exit.
Oh, yeah.
And it's these characters who they're in this place, they don't know how they got there, but the big thing they want is an exit. How do I escape this loneliness? And to me, I don't want to go too far deep into any more of the details, but to me, that's what Carol's always kind of been about. How can I escape the loneliness? Helen was her escape from the loneliness. And now, without Helen, how does Carol do it? So that's all I'm going to say. Season 3, episode 14, Five Characters in Search of an Exit. That's mine.
I like that. I like that, Bubba. And if anybody has any other Twilight Zone episodes that they want to compare this to, just let us know in the comments.
Oh, yeah.
Every answer is right. And again, as you said, we're kind of we're repeating themes here a lot, but these themes are similar to a lot of the Twilight Zone themes.
Hi,
So,
Carol.
Bubba,
Hi, Carol.
whew,
Hi, Carol.
we
Hi,
have
Carol.
gone through
Hi,
so much
Carol.
serious stuff. Sansa shows up in the Winds of Wycaro. Who knew? All right, so this segment is called "You Gotta Laugh." We need some levity amongst all this stand your ground business. So we are going to be looking desperately underneath cabinets. We're going to be we're going to be listening to the radio. Will anyone tell us any jokes? Bubba,
Yeah.
I got two things I found from this episode. One of them was when she was saying, I need somebody to help. And the mayor says, I'll help. And she's like, I don't want a politician to help. And he
Hey,
gives us sort of like a sad kind of like, "Aw, aw."
so
That
far.
was chuckles. But to me, the funniest thing is it was written down, not spoken, on the board of what Carol knows. One of the things she knows is don't play faves like all jerks same. And I
Ouch.
laughed my ass off at that. Bubba, was there anything that you found besides these two sparkling examples of humor? Anything you thought was funny?
Well, many of the things I learned from the great improv guru Del Close. Things are
Hmm.
funny because they're true, right? You laugh because you recognize the truth in it. And so when Carol wanted a needle and the We As Us said, might we suggest snorting heroin instead? I laughed because it's true.
You know what?
Yeah.
I'd say what's unfortunate for our audio only listeners
Yeah.
is that they don't get to tell you, they don't get to listen to you tell that joke and then how you sell it with the deadpan look afterwards. So if you're
Right.
only listening, you're missing out on 75% of Bubba's humor.
Okay, how about this? How about this?
Uh-huh.
Let's have a debate right now.
Okay.
Heroin or oxy? Well, I'm
Well, you know,
asking,
the
yeah.
interesting thing, well, as far as choices,
Yeah,
I would have thought that Oxy would have been good enough.
sure.
Yeah,
No, I need H.
but we've got some right on the way, coming right to you.
Hell yeah. You know what? Why can't DoorDash be as good as the joint? Let's go.
Completely agree.
Now, maybe I didn't sell that well enough with my deadpan looks. Let me try it
No,
again.
no, sorry, sorry.
Why can't DoorDash deliver stuff as great as the joint?
Hi, Carol. Hi, Carol. Hi, Carol. Hi,
I'm not
Carol.
quite
Hi,
sure
Carol. Hi,
I would
Carol.
describe that look as deadpan.
That was Shecky Green.
If you switched over to video to hear Bubba's
No,
last
don't do it.
response,
Don't do it.
go switch over to audio for
Yeah.
that last
Hey,
one.
wait a minute.
Hi, Carol.
All right,
Hi,
let's
Carol.
do the
Hi,
episode
Carol. Hi,
recap.
Carol. Hi, Carol.
Okay,
Hi,
we are
Carol.
so tough on the first, I call it 10 minutes, but it actually went longer than 10 minutes. Catfish, how do you pronounce this character's name again? I don't want to get it wrong.
I don't know. To me, is it Manousos?
Sure, let's say that. He's doing something with the radio. We know that. He's timing almost like, or he's making known connotations about, okay, this frequency, this frequency.
Right. I
And
listened to it to a minute to see if anything shows up.
right. The fun thing about this section, if there is much fun, is that it's giving us a place in time when it happened, because this happens during Carol's calls from the airplane back in episode 2, I believe.
Right. Though we don't know that until
Or the beginning of episode 3, excuse me. But yeah.
we don't know that until like the very kind of like last minute of the last 30 seconds of this whole thing. But to be honest with you,
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't take too long to realize who this guy is.
No. The world, in your opinion, has ended. There are no more human beings left. You're ready to, stand your ground against them. But this character still feels a bit guilty about breaking into people's public storage units and wants to leave a note. Hey, sorry about
Amazing.
this. We broke into you're all taken over, but still, hey, it's your stuff. How did you take his reaction to Carol's final call where she cursed him out? Like, he did act differently after that call.
It kills me that I did not realize this before.
What before? Sorry.
When he hears her be mean back to him, he realizes she's not in the hive mind because that's not the way they act. So it kills me that I didn't realize when she was talking to him and she swore at him that then he would recognize I need to reach out to her.
What do you want to see this character do? He's doesn't speak English. He's on a different continent from Carol, but he, at the very least, you want him to fight the joined. You want him to fight the hive mind. What do you want him to join up with Carol, or is it better to have two unique people fighting the hive mind in two unique areas? What do you think is better for Earth at this point?
I think it would be good to get together. I mean, obviously, he makes Carol look positively compliant with the hive mind. He's more like, again, as I would be.
He's not going to eat their food, man. He is not eating that food.
No, he doesn't trust anything. He doesn't trust anything. So, he's got a shortwave radio.
Yeah.
He feels like he can look her up. I feel like he's going to make contact with her. Please. Sweet Jesus, let's have him make contact with her. I'm also missing your boy, your hero. We need him back.
Man, once you go to Vegas, he's not going to be back for weeks. I mean, it's only 7 days after this horrific event has happened to Earth. So, my guy, Kuma,
Right, he's still on his long weekend.
do you know how many resorts there are in Vegas? You go from one to the next to the next.
It's gonna be Kumba's lazy river review. I've been to every lazy river in Vegas.
Well, hold on. Remember all the supermarkets, they're trying to only put them in places that make sense. Would the hive mind shut down some of the casinos because it's like we don't need this many if people want to gamble and enjoy lazy rivers? Why we just have it in one place and therefore all the resources are not kind of spread out and wasted. All the electricity we're generated won't be wasted. We'll put it in this one place, and then everybody can gamble there.
Right, but you don't understand that nobody else wants to gamble except for Kumba. So basically,
You're sure nobody else wants to gamble. Like we don't really see the hive mind when they're not around Carol. What are they doing?
I've already
just
explained
standing
to
in a
you.
corner. What are they doing?
They're either not doing something or they are doing something to sort of they're doing something productive. They're not doing any entertainment stuff. They're basically like shut down robots. That's why they turned off all the lights when those people were there. They're not doing anything. They're just hanging out. I already explained this to you. I wish
They
you would listen
didn't
to
turn
me.
off the lights. It was an accident. They can't lie. Hello, another point for me.
No, they turned her lights back on. Well, they did it for her. Just like for Kumba, he'll be like, okay, now I want to go to this casino, and they'll go over to that casino, they'll turn the lights on, they'll have it all
There you
staffed up.
go. What
Yeah.
if he says, I want to go to Henderson, Nevada?
It'll be like, great. They're just gonna take him. They're gonna
Carson
do
City. Here, let's go to Carson City. I'm going to name every city I know in Nevada. Reno.
they're gonna
God.
do whatever they can to make him happy until they
Okay.
can corrupt his soul and absorb him into the hive mind.
Is there anything else you want to see about our friend in South America?
No,
Like,
remember, they're not okay with these people being out of the hive mind. They want to get them into the hive mind
for
because
good intentions.
their rationale is
Thank you.
that yes, you're suffering and all will
Yeah.
be happy when you no longer have control over your own life.
Thank
And
you.
yeah. So understood, but if someone like you went to the hospital and the person's in the coma and you're like, what would make you're miserable right now. Let me put you out of your misery. That's you're doing a good thing from your mind, but the other person's not going to appreciate it.
So you therefore hate Carol drugging somebody against their will.
Hi, Carol. Hi,
Love
Carol.
that
Hi,
you will
Carol.
never
Hi,
get
Carol.
off
Hi,
my
Carol. Hi, Carol.
excellent point. Hey, let's
Hmm.
jump to the Carol storyline that I think we both
Thank you.
liked. This is 7 days
Hmm.
after everything went to hell. She's got a police car, man. You're like upgrading your ride constantly. This is great, man. But the hive mind, this made me laugh too. This was a funny. They're going to reach out on the radio and they're trying to explain it to her. Hey, it's just like Adam 12. Remember how you used to love that show? Who did they get that from? Who was maybe Carol friends with as a kid? I mean, Adam 12, when was that on? My God. Were we alive when
That
Adam
didn't make
12
any
was on?
sense to me. Well, I probably saw Adam 12 when I was really young, but the character of Carol and Rhea Seahorn is much younger than me, so I don't know where they saw Adam 12.
Well, my stations when I was a kid, they did have a bunch of old, the UHF stations had to play something, so they'd play
Yeah.
those really old shows. But Catfish, how about this? They
Hmm.
said they'd even be willing to remove the breathalyzer from Carol's old car. Remember, because she had a drinking problem, you had to blow into it before it could move. Man, so does the hive mind really care about her and want her to live if they're going to let her drunk drive? Way to go, hive mind.
I
Bad
mean,
example.
it's all in the same thing, right? They're pretending that she can do whatever she wants until they can get her. They
Well,
gave her a grenade.
she could drunk drive, right? They're
Yeah.
saying we'll let you do it.
Well, they'll also give her a grenade.
Yeah.
They're gonna just give her whatever she wants, and if she ends up killing herself, nah, whatever. If she takes out a couple of our unneeded appendages while also blowing herself up, problem solved.
Man. All right, so Carol goes home. They are cleaning up after the grenade episode, and she's like, "Why are you guys doing this?" And they give her she gave quote unquote the most consent for this cleanup by nodding in the ambulance. That's not much consent there, Catfish.
Some people are really good at communicating with other people.
Yeah,
Some people are really good at reading
sure.
people's body language. And every human being in the world that was really good at reading body language was at that point in the ambulance with her. Okay. So let's just go with
Oh, that
that.
hurts. That hurts. Carol gets into her house and she looks at a whiteboard full of notes for the fifth Winds of Wycaro book. I put a bunch of notes that I saw on the whiteboard. She's talking about killer sand and maybe a sand flood. And she even had this note, Catfish, Raban dies, and then in parentheses, again. And then she wrote, this time for real, ask Val. Oh man, what do you want? Do you want Raban, like after 5 novels of him being the hunky, sexy pirate that he is, could you kill him or would it kill the book series? There's no way Raban could die, right? In the book series continue. He has to make it to the end, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. People are in a tizzy that he wasn't on the cover, Bubba.
Oh man, man. Oh, but then apparently there was a dream sequence on that also somebody fell into a sand pool. Oh man, all sorts of good stuff. Then she moves to a new whiteboard, Catfish. She's going to figure out what she knows about those perfect people, the joined. And she starts breaking down the hive minders and she brings in your boy Larry, Lawrence J. Kless. Does she want to hear this?
Now,
Does she
Bubba, wait,
want to
before
hear
we get
this?
into that, I
Yeah.
thought I would wait, but no, this is the right place to do it.
Okay.
Right here, when she was looking at her notes for the other book, and then with the person talking about the book, it brought me back to, sometimes you almost can't help it. You make some great points. Last week you were talking about would the hive mind enjoy her books because that's the only people that don't have her thoughts. So she's the only one that can surprise them with something, but maybe not because they know her books very, very well. And it doesn't sound like the additional details. And Larry says, your books are expression of you and we love you.
Man.
And then he's saying, she's all pissy. She's like, and so she's testing him like, you like my books as much as Shakespeare? No, that's not possible. And then there's a very beautiful explanation here of like, you remember this woman? She's like, yeah, the crazy woman who used to make me hats. Yes, well, you brought her out of this. And
Yeah.
so basically, there is a real love and appreciation for her writing. And like, this is something that could be healing for her, especially after she finds out that Helen didn't
Oh
care too
man.
much for either her romanticy writing or
Oh.
her quote unquote real book. And even in the
Oh.
worst thing, she says, oh, the real book, she thought, well, your wife and your agent thought, well, it's not good, but it won't hurt the rest of her career. So why not
Oh.
and do it? Oh,
Helen didn't even
no.
finish it, Catfish. Helen didn't even finish it. Ouch.
Well, she got through 140 pages and was just like,
137. 100, oh wait,
oh,
yeah,
sorry, sorry.
you had the ones at the end. Yeah, okay, sure. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
How about this,
man. And
Catfish?
just beautiful, by the way, again,
Mhm.
Larry. Uh, just beautiful. Jeff Hiller, again, with his just really just like, we did not want to hurt your feelings. Can we talk about something else? And Carol's like, no, I need to hear it.
Well,
We've
Catfish,
warned you.
Catfish, I want to get to this. So this woman Moira, who
Mhm.
did the book really did get her through a tough part of her life, and Moira did love it because Moira loved it. Like one person, let's say only one person loved this book. Does that mean now everybody loved it? Because
Well,
she's saying, did you love it as much as Shakespeare? And because Moira loved it, more than Shakespeare, everybody loves it equally as Shakespeare, right?
Well,
Like that's kind
no,
of world we're in, you think?
that can't be right. Technically, you'd have to say we loved it and it was beautiful, and also it was trash, and I threw it down after 3 pages.
Oh, you mean
The
the bad reviews.
writing,
Okay.
right. You got all kinds, right? So,
Wow.
I mean, they are definitely editing themselves, right? Because part of them hates this book. Part of them loves it. Part of them couldn't, never read it. Part of them looked at the covers and thought, this is garbage.
So they have
You know?
every thought about this book. So they
Yeah.
don't just have love, they have every thought that's ever been thought about the Winds of Wycaro.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah.
Let me say that listeners, sometimes you wonder if there's something in the air. Catfish and I covered the book slash television adaptation of Magpie Murders. And one of the main characters in Magpie Murders, played by the actor Conleth Hill, who played Varys on Game of Thrones. Who is he? He's an author who writes popular murder mysteries, who hates the murder mysteries that he writes because he thinks they're, silly popcorn. And he wants to write and release his great American novel. And everybody's like, that's not so good. And so it's like literally they've taken Conleth Hill's character. Everything has been done before.
Yeah.
There we go. The hive mind is right. We've all done it
Well,
before.
the only thing I would say is I think he wants to write the great English novel.
Oh, fair enough. Fair enough. You're saying that Bitter Chrysalis is not the great American novel. Oh boy.
Yeah, right. Who knows? Who knows? So yes. So then we have Carol going to see Zosia at the hospital, and they get into a little bit of wordplay here,
Mhm.
where Carol's like, "Is there a way to reverse it?" And the joining, and since Zosia doesn't say no, Carol assumes it's a yes.
Heck
And
yeah.
then we get to find out about
Oh, this was brutal.
Carol's history at Camp Freedom Falls, a conversion
Oh,
camp.
oh, terrible. Did you like this line that the Hive Mind give Carol? She's like, "Yeah, you guys are terrible. You guys are terrible." And they're like, "Hey, you know what? We know what it's like to be you. We've been you, but you've never been us." Catfish?
Great. Can I be you? And then you tell me what you let me know. Can I be you for 10 minutes and then you turn me back and then I make my decision based on having been you and then come back to me? Otherwise, GTFO.
Get the fun out?
Yes, that's exactly right. So Carol's got a plan, which I wasn't quite sure was the plan until she had actually already shot up Zosia. She asked for heroin. They're like, "Can we get some oxy?" And then Helen flushes the heroin down the toilet,
We mean
records.
Carol. We mean Carol. Sorry.
He-
Yeah.
Carol flushes the heroin down the toilet, and then she records a video, injects herself with the thiopentin sodium.
What did you think was happening here, Catfish? I thought she was recording herself to see, are they coming into my house when I'm asleep? Like for some reason, I didn't figure out where she was going.
Exactly right. I thought she was, will they come in and save me if they think that I am in distress?
Right.
And
Yeah, that's exactly what I thought.
she didn't even remember while she's watching it. She has no memory of it. This is, I guess, our just way to see if it works. So she's testing for a truth serum.
Yeah, so crazy. She goes back to the hospital. Like, there are literally millions of people you could drug, but you're like, this is the one that I have this is the one of the million that I have a relationship with. I'll drug them.
Right.
Whoa.
Why not Larry?
Yes, drug. How about the mayor? Like politicians, drug the mayor.
Yeah. It's kind of true. It is. So would you have been okay? Because you were
Okay,
very
yeah,
upset
yeah,
all the
let's hear it.
things that she's done to Zosia. If you were like, all right, so she almost blew up Zosia. So since Zosia is not doing so good, if she did it to Larry or the mayor, would that have been
Yes.
okay? Because they're in a better
Thank you.
situation.
Pass the pain around.
You know what?
I'm
She
imagining the
can't.
hive mind all get together later. And so she's like, for God's sake, can somebody else take point on this one? I'm falling apart here.
Well, Bubba, it's
Yeah,
because Carol still has the same problem that you do.
I do.
Is that thinking of these people as somewhat individualistic. So she's like, I already got some information out of Zosia.
Yeah.
We have a special connection, which is a complete lie. I mean, I
Yes.
guess unless you consider she's got a special connection with everybody, except for the mayor, who, if he had any feelings left, would
Right.
have had them hurt. But yeah,
Right.
sure, do it to the mayor.
Well, we know she finds this one of the other, this joined Zosia, attractive. She's sexually attracted to this one
Of
of
course,
the other.
this woman was specifically picked because she's the female Raban, and
Okay.
Carol originally wanted to make
Okay,
Raban a
but
female.
wait till where I'm going with this.
Okay.
So right now,
Hmm.
I'm going to imagine that all of us
Yeah.
are not just physically attracted, but when we're dating somebody, when we're attracted to someone, it's not just a physical attract. People we have relationships with. It's not just a
Right.
physical attraction. It's this person, their personality, their, want and need. But now that everybody has the same personality, does that make physical attraction really the only thing? Right? For Carol, all of them are the same, but it's just this person happens to have the physical characteristics of Raban, so that's why I would fall with for them, not for any of the other billion people in the world.
Right. Well,
Like,
again, that's what your boy tried to take Zosia to Vegas just because he's like, we have a connection. Yeah, right. But it would have been smarter of Carol to try and pull this on somebody who was a little bit more healthy. Now,
yeah,
she has to do it sneaky because they're not going to let her do it. So this is a good sneaky way to do it. I mean, she's got a bag already. She can inject the drugs right into the bag, so that goes
sure.
through the IV drip. And she could take her as far away as possible. It didn't quite work. And then the Hive pretends they care about this one
Oh,
appendage,
they care.
Zosia.
If they didn't care, they wouldn't be giving her the paddles. Of course, they care, Catfish. You
No,
friggin' jerk.
they don't care. They're just trying to make sure that Carol doesn't get the information, and they want to keep Zosia. They want to
Why are
play
they
on
crying?
Car.
Why
They
do you
want
think
to
they're
play
crying?
on Carol's emotions.
Oh, come on.
They're just Bubba.
The
If you
joint,
think
the joint gave Carol a look after this to me. The joint, when they're like, "Oh my God, we got to give poor Carol the heart paddles because she's having cardiac arrest." To me, the joint were looking at Carol like, "You done effed up." That's the thought I had looking at him.
All right. They didn't get mad at her when she killed 11 million people, so I don't know
Right.
what it's going to
Well, it's
take.
like, okay, that's the first day,
All
innocent
right, right.
mistakes. The third day, they're like, oh my God, we got to move a whole friggin'
No, they're upset
supermarket
with
for her.
Carol because they have taken over all these appendages. That's
Yeah.
what human beings are. And
Yeah.
Carol's trying to kick them out. And they don't like that because they've moved in, they've rearranged the furniture, and they like these vessels the way they are.
All right. Hold on. An appendage. You're telling me if Carol injured one of my fingers, I wouldn't try to save it? I wouldn't care? Of course they care. They're trying to save the finger, Catfish.
Yes, but Bubba, if you had
If
9 billion fingers, you wouldn't care about one.
I would save everyone.
Hi, Carol. Hi, Carol.
All right,
Hi,
Bubba.
Carol.
Yeah.
Hi, Carol.
Ooh,
Hi,
that's
Carol.
the end of the episode. So now we got to talk about our MVP, our
All right.
skin suit of the week.
All
Who is
right.
your Hive MVP this week?
I think it's Zosia for taking one for the team.
One.
Right. Constantly, like she's waking up and she's like, God, do I have to? I have to. We have to keep
Right,
talking to
right,
our human
right,
beings. And I'm
right,
like,
right.
God.
Zoshi's like, there's got to be someone who looks close to
Right.
me.
I know. Come on,
And then there's got
somebody.
to be some really good plastic surgeons. Please. Yeah,
How about
yeah.
what if it's just God and I'm having to read the serious book too because Helen didn't? Somebody throw me a bone.
So she's like, Vegas would have been so much better. All right, Bubba, my MV, the Hive MP of the
Let's hear
week
it.
is Larry again. Beautifully acted. And
Yes.
Bubba, the
Yeah.
balls
Hey,
literally to wear that bicycle suit.
you know, let me ask you this. We've
Yeah.
seen the collective, the join, the hive mind. Remember last week how we had the guy in the DHL
Yeah.
outfit. Again, it is wasteful from many perspectives to have, FedEx, UPS, the post office, DHL, all these delivery services. Wouldn't they all just combine to make one delivery service? And so why is this guy still repping DHL? He's got to have other clothes in his outfit. Why does the hive mind want to him to dress like that?
Just to make her feel comfortable.
Oh,
Remember, Carol was not comfortable
mhm.
with the TGIF Employee of the Month flying the plane.
Hi, Carol. Hi, Carol. Hi,
She
Carol.
really
Hi,
hates
Carol. Hi, Carol.
TGIF
Hi, Carol.
Fridays, man. That's not cool. Not cool,
She
Carol.
does, she does. All right, Bubba. And
Oh,
our last section before we get to our amazing, fantastic feedback
yeah.
segment, Pluribus or US?
Oh boy.
Based on this week's episode, where would you rather live? And before we get to it, we got some feedback again. If you ever want to answer this question, we will love to read your feedback. Caro Johnson at Bella Sky with an E1 says, I want to live in Pluribus.
Whoa.
There's too much self-interest in the highest seat of power right now, and they are forsaking their duty to take care of all of us, not just a few of them.
Whoa. Whoa. Catfish, we've only had this is our third podcast on the series. Has possibly almost every person checked said I'd rather live in Pluribus than the US. This is a damning statement about our country and the world right now. What about you, Catfish? This week, where you want to be? Pluribus or here in the US?
Well, Bob, I was thinking about it, and we are both, and I'm going to put this in scare quotes, lucky enough
Oh
to
boy.
own a house.
Oh
And
boy.
and I hate it because I know that besides all the things that I need to do for the house that I have not done, I
Mhm.
also know there's a bunch of things hiding that will pop up that I'll have to do that will be very expensive. But Bubba,
Yeah.
if I could just have people come in and happily fix up my house with all the knowledge of the world, I would be so, so happy. So this week,
Yeah.
it's Pluribus for me, Bubba. What about you?
Ridiculous.
What
Ridiculous.
about you?
Okay, so last Saturday, here as we record this in 2025, my alma mater, the University of Georgia,
Go dogs!
really crushed the University of Texas in football. And that is such a
Yeah.
high, that is such a thrill. But if I lived in Pluribus, you know what would happen? All the high and thrill of my college team winning would be ruined because I'd also feel all the pain because now I'm supporting the other team too, right? I want them to win too, and I'm having all the pain of the loss, right? Like
Mm.
the high highs and the low lows, it's all melded together. Now, that said, here in the US, my pro football team, our starting quarterback is injured and out for the rest of the year. We're having a terrible season. We've had a lot of losses. And so, if I was in Pluribus, I could enjoy all those great wins that the teams are having against my pro football team, the Atlanta Falcons. So, the point is, I'm currently living in both. I'm experiencing the highest highs and the lowest lows. So, I can't choose. They're exactly the same.
Hi, Carol.
Go,
Hi,
dogs.
Carol. Hi, Carol.
Rise
Hi,
up.
Carol. Hi, Carol.
All
Hi,
right,
Carol.
Bubba. Do everybody just if you're listening right now, do a little swag sway in Bubba's name. Now, Bubba, we got some feedback here,
Heck
and there
yeah.
a lot of this feedback is still on Carol. Now
Mhm.
that makes sense. Carol's our main character. We've got Carol and the Hive Mind. So obviously it's going to be a lot of talk about Carol.
Yep.
So Jose Orsonio on Spotify just said, "Hi,
Hi,
Carol."
Carol.
And really cool, spelled Rillywykewell, says, "I'm with Catfish. If this were really happening, I'd be way more freaked out than Carol."
A longtime loyal listener at Nicholas Fortuna on Twitter wrote, at first, I thought Carol was the worst, but when you look at the whole picture, Carol lost everything and the entity took it all away. And it's the person that took it all away is always standing right in front of her smiling. I'd have a difficult time dealing with that. Thank you, Nick.
Absolutely. And Secunda underscore C says, "I don't understand the hate for Carol. Is she supposed to just give in?"
Reenie6, a longtime loyal listener, wrote, I don't agree with everything that Carol has done, but I empathize with her. I
Yeah.
also respect her refusal to trust the hive mind. This was sent by alien. So Reenie6, anti-alien. That's good to know. We have no idea what their motivations are. I disagree with pulling the pin on the grenade and asking for an entire supermarket, but I get Carol.
All right. And April Peters says, "I think all of the people whining about Carol not being nice and
Hmm.
calling her Karen would not be so opposed if the character was a man.
Hmm.
Vince was so smart to do this, and the actress is incredible."
This is an incredible actress, and I think that's a great point, April. I would hope our listeners aren't that way. I hope our listeners are, if they have trouble with Carol, it's just because they have trouble dealing with people who are, kind of have a negative outlook on life. Another longtime loyal listener, DV, wrote, I can't say Carol would be a friend of mine, but I understand her actions. She's lost her wife. There's no one left to even talk to. The others have no emotion. I think individual emotions are a weak spot for the hive. They don't
Mm.
feel them, and when they're comforting the strong ones, the whole hive needs a reset.
Ooh, I like that. Now, Ronald Bolton is
Yeah,
would love you, Bubba, because Ronald says, "I love curmudgeons."
yeah.
Two of my all-time TV characters are Lamb from Slow Horses and Gregory House from House. The
No.
Hive sharing with Carol her intimate moments with Helen is a
Mm,
kind of voyeurism,
mm.
or at least to Carol it comes off that way. Someone knowing my intimate moments and feeding it back to me, I would find disgusting just like Carol does. It's like peeking in their bedroom.
Mm.
Only Helen can share this, but she has been absorbed into the Hive. It should be off limits.
Denny North, who's at Denny North, wrote, Carol is the best. I want to be Carol Bull. I want to be Carol. I wish Pluribus was a video game. Wow. Okay. Denny.
Wow, but Nurse Beefcake on Spotify says, Hi,
Hi, Carol.
Carol. This Carol is not the worst.
Oh,
She felt bad when she caused the 11,000 or 11 million people to die due to her anger, and she tried to save Zosia. Carol is basically a good person who just has no joy. The others, or Hive Mind, do not take over the Earth to help us. They're basically the Borg and have already told Carol that resistance is futile.
wow.
If it was me, I would keep getting angry and try to kill them all.
Whoa.
Zosia was looking at Carol patronizingly prior to the grenade.
Nurse Beefcake off the top rope. I
Hell yes.
love it. We have Preety 1989 who said, I think everyone and Carol are assuming that Carol was the only person in Helen's life. So she is the only one who gets to remember her. But what about Helen's parents, her siblings, her friends, her colleagues? They may be part of the hive now, but they still must have memories of Helen. So Carol demanding that she's the only one who gets to remember Helen is a bit too much. Carol simply could have said that they are not to mention Helen at all around her so that it doesn't hurt her. Okay, I think that's fair.
I agree. But, our good old buddy Pat Spinagle says, I like how Carol is the protagonist and the antagonist. He
Woohoo!
goes on to say, for those who find Carol to be the worst, I won't try to change minds, but I think it would be interesting to see Carol warm up to Zosia, for example, despite herself.
Hmm.
I think isolation is something that might play into this.
Okay, so look at all those great comments of people who believe that Carol is not the worst.
All right, great. So now we've settled that issue.
Uh-oh. We've got comments from people, Catfish, who agreed with the argument that she is the worst. Bory Man wrote, Carol is self-loathing. She may have experienced trauma. She's unwilling to forgive herself and others. Being self-loathing is exhausting. Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Whoa, okay. And Dream Brother 82 says Carol was a bit of a bee before the event, but after all it seemed to do was amplify her bad behavior as a result of her grief, I suppose. Not a fan of Carol at this point, but I'm sure that opinion could change as the season evolves.
Whoa. And our final Carol is the worst comment
Yep.
says from Cease, Seese wrote, it's pretty obvious that Carol is a stubborn and miserable person. So any offer of wish fulfillment or mind meld contentedness offered by the joined, that's going to be rejected by Carol. Carol's mediator was Helen, who would level with her and get her out of her sour moods. That
Mm.
person's no longer around, so Carol doesn't have the support person to be with, to be
Oh,
her
that's a great
solace in this
point.
strange world.
That sort of seems pro-Carolish.
Okay, true. I'm wondering why Carol has. Oh, here's another point that I think we just heard. I'm wondering why Carol hasn't reached out to any family or friends of the joined. Does Carol have nobody? Hmm. They also
Mm.
say the discussion on Carol's privilege as a wealthy white woman is very valid because it's affect how she is perceived by the other immune English speakers. Do you think that back in episode two?
You know what that is? That's an interesting point. The way Americans have been thought of in the world certainly hasn't been great, and it's going right into the crapper these days for sure.
Her final, she has a bunch of other great points, but they have a bunch of great other points. But they said the discussion around socioeconomic inequalities and agency would feel pretty hollow coming from Carol. So Catfish, we've had pro Carol, we've had anti Carol, we've kind of had a mixed vibe. Now people are commenting on the Hive Mind, what they think of them. Let's get to it.
Let's hear it. Okay, Furriner says if the hive mind doesn't kill anything and breaks down if aggressive behavior is directed towards them, an alien force immune to the virus could just swoop in and take over the Earth with no resistance.
Wonderful.
Well, it already feels like the Earth has been taken over with very little resistance. Remember, they had to accelerate the process because they got found out and they were too scared, too chicken to
Hey,
face resistance face on.
man.
The Jelly Cabral says, imagine Carol becoming part of Hive Mind and everybody start to feel so miserable that the connection between them breaks.
Oh, poor. That's not nice. Hey,
The way to
Richard.
break the Hive Mind.
Richard wrote, I wonder if the hive will ever develop a sense of malice. Ooh. Right now, they're very accommodating towards Carol and the other 11. But once they figure out why these people didn't turn, they will become less nice and more demanding, trying to get them into the collective. Whoa.
Well, I mean, I feel like they had to set these rules up because there's no way that 12 people survive against 9 billion. So they had to set the rules up that these cannot, in no way, they can be more demanding, but they can't hurt them.
Sure. Now we had some just general feedback on episode
Love it.
3. Our good
Hmm.
friend Harley Camille at CamShay23 on Threads gave episode 3 8 out of 10 double G's.
Oh, double G's?
Good grenade, as in good Lord. They actually gave her a grenade. Why? Why give her anything she wants? I'm trying to figure out these others. And if they're all about peace, why would they give her a dangerous weapon? What do they actually want? It's so culty. I'm ready to see them do something crazy. Well, they've already given her a grenade. So how much crazier can they get, Camille?
All
Love
right,
that feedback.
and Link Hogthrob, another good long loyal listener, agreed with me.
Oh,
He gave this episode 6 out of 10 double R's.
double R's?
Yeah, repetitive reparations. I guess it
Ooh.
might be a great setup for later on, but this one dragged on for me.
Listener who's given us many great comments before says, named B Shadow said, the etymology of vodka conversation, although I think vodka is the one liquor they don't mention, appears in a book by author Julian May. In this book series, it belongs to human beings are evolving to the point of having psychic powers, and the ones that have them belong to a communal state of mind called unity. There's a prejudice among normal humans that it's a hive mind, but it's more like simple awareness of how others are feeling. Carol would have been the antagonist of that hotel. Whoa. I'm convinced Vince Gilligan or the writer of this specific episode 3 read that book while they were working on this episode. Woo, thank you for that feedback.
Awesome. Another loyal listener, Zombie Italian, says, Hi, Carol.
Missed it. Dang it. Hi, Carol.
We will give this an 8 double G's.
Double G's.
Yeah, great grenades.
Okay, there we go.
I think that we learned that we will give her whatever she wants, regardless of intent. I believe
Yeah.
it's just a distraction for a larger picture. I don't believe it's just as simple as they say it is. Food for thought. And my crazy thoughts. We love crazy thoughts on this show. If I was an alien looking to take over the planet, I would not bring a fight, as the human race is very violent as a whole, and that is something we excel at. Why not just input a virus and watch from afar until it's complete? Also, Catfish brought up ants.
Yeah.
If you look at the planet from a species, ants rule the planet. They exist everywhere on every continent and outnumber the human race by a lot. This is kind of how the virus is making the humans, only there is no queen. I think that would be the aliens. There has to be something greater than just Carol to become part of the hive, or it will make us part of them. But maybe that's just the human in me.
Heck yeah. Well, thank you for making it clear that you're a human, Zombie Dalian. Great job. Incredible feedback, listeners. We need you to subscribe. We need you to keep giving this feedback.
Keep going.
We have to cut everybody's comments short. We apologize just because there's so many great ones, but keep them coming at Double PHQ on social media.
Okay, and Bubba, I was going to talk about next week's episode, but clearly you've made a joke here because you claimed that the name of the episode is Got Milk.
It is.
No, that cannot be Got Milk, the name of your famous podcast on
The Strain.
Oh, I love it. So in this one, Carol doubles down on her investigation. Loneliness be damned. Meanwhile, howls in the night reveal a new source of danger.
Get those lights back on,
Bubba.
man. Yeah.
Oh, man. The wolves are out there and they're hungry. All right. My name is Catfish. You can hit me up at G to the man, GEETOTHEMAN on Blue Sky and Instagram. And don't forget to reach out to Double P Media. That's the word double,
Yeah.
the letter P, and the word media, Double P Media and .com. And we are at Double PHQ on all media sources. And Bubba, how do they reach out to you?
Well, my name's Rick Steves, and you can keep on traveling. You can find me on social media at Fit and Trim. That's FITTENTRIM at Fit and Trim on social media.
And we will talk to you next week on Hi,
Carol.
Carol.
Hi, Carol. Hi, Carol.